Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to be working on solving a value mixture problem. So let's just read through this problem first. Suppose the standard version of a song is 2.3 megabytes and the high quality version is 4.8 megabytes. If the high quality version was downloaded 3 times as often as the standard version, and if the total size downloaded for the two versions was 3,841 megabytes, how many standard versions were downloaded? Well, if you watch the other video on solving these value mixture problems, one of the things I would encourage you to do is to look at the numbers you're given along with their units. So one of the numbers I see is 2.3 megabytes and 4.8 megabytes. But notice those aren't totals. Those are telling us how many megabytes each download of the standard version is and how many megabytes each download of the high quality version is. So it's basically giving us a megabyte per download unit. If we look at the next kind of number they're giving us, they're saying that we've got 3,841 megabytes, and that was the total size. So they're giving us megabytes per download, and then they're giving us the total megabytes in terms of the total size downloaded. They also give us one other piece of information. They tell us something about how many times each version was downloaded. So the way I see it, there's kind of like 3 different types of units here. We've got megabytes per download, we've got downloads, and then we've got megabytes, like total megabytes. So again, let's begin this problem with a pretend situation. So suppose that I told you that your favorite song was 2 megabytes per download. And then for whatever reason, maybe you forgot, but let's say just on accident you decided that you were going to download that song 3 times. So you did 3 downloads. How could we figure out how much space on your computer that was used up from those 3 downloads? Well, if we know that each download cost you 2 megabytes, and you downloaded the song 3 times, then a way to figure out the total number of megabytes we use is to multiply the megabytes per download times the number of downloads. And in this case, it would give us 6 megabytes. So notice the relationship. If I take megabytes per download and I multiply that by the number of downloads, that's going to tell me how many megabytes I've used. So that's the formula or equation that we're going to be working off of. So it's going to be megabytes per download times the number of downloads equals the total number of megabytes. Okay, and just like the last one, there are really 2 things that are taking up space on our computer. There's the standard version of the download, and then there's the high quality version download. So what I want to do on the side here is I want to list those 2 things, because we're going to be calculating total megabytes for each one of those versions. So we've got the standard version, we've got the high quality version, and then we've got one row for any combined information, because sometimes they don't just tell us what's true of the standard or what's true of just the high quality. They give us information that pertains to the combined total of the 2. So now I'm just going to make a table out of our information. This gives us a way to, organize the information from the problem. So what I want to start with is megabytes per download. And I think they told us again up here the standard version is 2.3 megabytes per download and the high quality is 4.8. So I'm going to fill those in. Okay, what were we looking for in the problem? Well, I guess even before I get to that point, they actually gave us this other piece of information. They told us the total size downloaded was 3841 megabytes. So that's going to go under my megabytes column, and it's going to go under my combined row. So I know that between the two standard and high quality versions, I've used up 3,841 megabytes total on the computer. Okay, then I was saying, what are we looking for? Well, it says how many standard versions were downloaded. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and call the standard versions, the downloads of the standard version, X, because we don't know what that is, and that's really what we're looking for. Then let's go up to, there's a sentence right in the middle of the paragraph that's relevant. It says, if the high quality version was downloaded 3 times as often as the standard version, is how that sentence begins. So if we know that there were X downloads of the standard version, the high quality version is 3 times that amount. So that means there must have been 3 times whatever X is downloads of the high quality version. Okay, now I want to come up with an expression for how many megabytes we've used just from the downloads of the standard version, and I want to come up with an expression for the number of megabytes we've used for the downloads of the high quality version. Well, the megabytes that were used for the standard version would be the megabytes per download times the number of downloads. So for us, that's going to be 2.3 times X. The number of megabytes for the high quality version is going to be the number of megabytes per download times the number of downloads. So that's going to be 4.8 times 3x. Okay, and now if I look at how those numbers in my last column relate to each other, well, the total number of megabytes downloaded is 3,841. Those megabytes had to come either from the standard version or from the high quality version. In other words, the total number of megabytes from the standard version plus the total number of megabytes from the high quality version has to equal 3,841. So those two have to add up to be 3,841. So then we've got our equation, which is 2.3x plus 4.8 times 3x equals 3,841. Okay, from there, 2.3x plus 4.8 times 3 is 14.4x equals 3,841. We just want to solve that equation. 2.3 plus 14.4 is 16.7x equals 3,841. Divide both sides by 16.7. And we get x equals 230. And remember, because of the way that we labeled x was exactly what we were looking for. It was the number of downloads of the standard version. So we are all set. So our answer is there were 230 downloads of that standard version.